Today I'm going to talk and give you a bit of an update on Ballymore. Here's our disclaimer. Just as a brief overview of the company, we listed about 3.5 years ago. We basically came in looking at North Queensland. It's an area I've worked in the past, and we always felt there was great potential still here. So we've picked up 4 very exciting projects. Of those, the Dipma project's really starting to take shape up as a really exciting opportunity. It's a growing gold copper play. We're getting bonanza grades, and it's really starting to look like a near-term restart opportunity for us. We're very fortunate. We're well funded. We've got the backing of some great shareholders, including Taurus. We've got an amazing experienced board and management team, very lean and mean, and we've got some really great work going on. Just running through our projects briefly, as I said, we have 4 projects in North Queensland. Up north, inland from Cairns, we have the Ruddy Gore and the Mount Molloy projects. Ruddy Gore and Mount Molloy are both primarily gold copper, but they also have the potential for base metal. Looking a bit further to the south, we have the Ravenswood project in the Charters Towers area. Once again, a prolific gold mining area, really exciting. And we've got some very prospective ground with plenty of really exciting breccia and vein-hosted targets. But today I'm going to really focus on Dipma down inland from Proserpine. So look, Dipma historically was known for its really high-grade gold veins there. It's been mined basically since the 1880s through to World War II. There's some stellar grades in some of the old historic mines there. Probably the most impressive though is the Dipma mine itself. It was one of the last found in the 1930s, and between 1930 and 1950 it produced 55,000 ounces of gold at an average grade of 151 grams gold, 66 grams silver and 2.8% copper. It was one of the highest grade gold mines in the country at the time. When we first picked up the ground, we were very fortunate that there was this existing mine here, but we had to open it back up. We saw a real opportunity here, and one of the points of difference for us as a company is that we have this in-house ability to do underground mining. And it's been an absolute fantastic result for us to get into the old mine. It's allowed us to do sampling, mapping, but most importantly to do a lot of drilling from underground. It's saving us metres, time and money, and it's just been a really perfect way of approaching this. Once we got in and started working in the old mine, we fairly quickly answered our own question of why on earth would you stop mining one of the highest grade gold mines in Australia about 200 metres below surface. It became pretty obvious pretty quickly that it had been faulted out below level 7, the old mine lode, which is that red one you can see there. It's very clear that there had been a fault displace it. Fortunately for us, what we also found though is that the fault had actually thrown the old lode up adjacent to the old mine. So within 30 metres of the old workings, we've got basically the repetition of the lode. It's a really, really impressive story. Having recognised that, we've basically been drilling it out. Amazingly, this particular mine had never had a drill hole into it before we picked this ground up. It's, once again, a recurring theme of so many of these places in Queensland. It's a recurring theme of what you've been hearing already today, that there's so many amazingly untested targets in Queensland compared to other parts of the country. We've basically been systematically drilling it from underground since then. We continue to yield lots and lots of really impressive results. It just continues to deliver, much like the old historic mine. Example, hole 9 reported 4.3 metres at 29 grams per tonne gold, but there's many, many more of the similar tenor. Earlier this year, as a follow-up to the previous drilling, we completed the stage 5 drilling literally only about a month ago. That was more or less designed to do some more infill drilling, but also to test along strike a few step-out holes as well. Our thesis has been that there's a series, while the whole lode is mineralised, there tend to be these high-grade shoots that plunge shallowly to the south. You have these lodes. So we've basically started to test that, and the drilling we've been doing basically is supporting that. Probably the most important 2 holes we'll talk about today are holes 56 and 57. These basically have targeted that one of those shoots and have reported some quite broad grade intersections for them. 56, for example, reported 6.6 metres at 13.6 grams per tonne gold, and within there was a 40 centimetre intersection running over 200 grams. That's a snapshot of the mineralisation in that high-grade zone. It's a classic Duffer vein, quartz with semi-massive pyrite and chalcopyrite. It's absolutely spectacular. Apart from drilling, we've also been doing lots of field work. It's very steep, thickly vegetated country. It's a credit to the team to have got this work done, but we've been doing mapping. Every time we go out in the field, we find more workings in this area. And our soil sampling has basically shown that there's quite a continuous zone of mineralisation. There's a whole series of pretty obvious lodes, the yellow being the gold, and we basically have defined a 2 kilometre strike length along that duffel lode, along strike from the old historic mine. You can see the extent of our drilling to date from underground. We've barely scratched the surface, and we think this could be a much bigger system. There's also quite a large copper anomaly sitting in this area, and we suspect that could be the indicator of an underlying porphyry target. We've been very fortunate. We've received a lot of support from the government through CEI grants. In the last 2 years, we've picked up 4, 3 of which have come from the Dipma area, and we've actually received over $1 million in those grants. At the moment, we're currently undertaking a deep drill hole with a grant to test the pipe-like magnetic target underneath the system, which we suspect may be a porphyry system, and that's heading down there as we speak, and we're really looking forward to how that goes. We're also about to commence an IP survey at Andromache, an old historic porphyry target in our southern licence. Looking at the big picture, in summary, we've basically, that purple area is what the historic miners mined. 150 by 200 metre areas produce 55,000 ounces of gold. We found the extension to that, and that brown area is what we've drilled to date, which is basically restricted to the mining lease from underground. That's a 200 by 300 metre area, but our field work is suggesting it could be at least 2 kilometres. Underneath us, we also may have a porphyry system. We've also been doing a lot of mine studies work in the background. We're very fortunate. We've got granted mining leases here already. But we've also been doing a lot of other work. We've got some very exceptional met test work in this area. Basically, whether you do CIL or flotation, we're basically exceeding 90% recoveries. It's spectacular, and we are moving towards, well, looking at the opportunity for a restart. We've also opened up the old mine, which means we've got half the battle done already. We're very close to existing mineralisation. As we've already mentioned, there's also a mining lease application we submitted. All our drilling is already showing it's stepping off the actual mining lease. We've put in an application covering that soil anomaly and all the old historic workings. That's progressing very well, and literally 2 weeks ago we received decision from the Land Court recommending that the ministers approve the mining lease and the EA, so everything's moving in the right direction. So where do we go from here? As I've already mentioned, we already think we've got a bunch of steep southerly, or some shallow southerly plunging chutes. We're going to stick with the recipe that we've been using up to now. We're going to put in some development. As soon as we get this mining lease granted, we're basically going to push out a drive out there to give us further drill platforms. Once we do that, we'll go and do a program. Initially, we're going to do a 3,000 metre program to do step out, and that'll substantially step this out. The reason why we're doing this, it's remarkably cost effective for us to do it. It's saving us creating a lot of disturbance on the surface. It's saving us up to 300 metres per drill hole. So in the long run, we expect it to save us a lot of money and save us time. Just one last little teaser. We also just recently announced some more exciting news. We already thought we were looking at a pretty big system, but just recently the team went out and did some stream sediment sampling and prospecting south of the Dipma mine. What they came back with is, just through sieving the samples to collect the stream sediment samples, they found gold in 11 samples, actual physical gold. And we got the poor old lab rather upset because we blew up their low detection lab with some of the results. Our highest result was 39 grams per tonne. That's not 39 ppb, that's 39,000 ppb. And I've never seen results like it, and we got a whole bunch of samples that have exceeded basically a gram per tonne. It's absolutely spectacular. This has potentially demonstrated that the corridor could be at least 4 kilometres long at this stage, so it continues to grow the story. Just as one other comment, the creeks draining the Dipma mine itself are literally running about half a gram per tonne, which is quite spectacular in its own rights, and yet we're seeing much, much stronger results down to the south. So we think the story is growing. It's a really exciting story. So look, in summary, we've got 4 very exciting projects. Unfortunately, I haven't had time today to talk to you about the other 3, but come to our booth. We're beside the coffee booth, so everyone who wants a coffee, feel free to drop by. We've got plenty to talk about, and we'd love to catch up. We've got some really exciting results. I think we've got an emerging story coming together at Dipma, which could be quite a large system. And on top of that, some other really exciting projects. We're currently drilling a deep hole on a CEI grant, which could be a game changer. We've also got some geophysics about to start. Lots of other great field work and drilling. There's a lot to be followed here, so come and say good day. Thanks.